Good evening and welcome to the channel, The Vaping Piper. Today's subject is a very important subject. You bought a few tins of pipe tobacco and you want to keep them for a long time. You want it to stay fresh, you want it to retain its flavors, and in fact you want them to improve. That we're going to talk about in a minute. How do you store them? Yeah, very simple question to ask that I was asked just a few days ago in an email. How do I store my tobacco? How quick do I store it from opening the tin? And various questions regarding tobacco storage. So that's what we're going to address in today's video. Right, so let's first talk about does your tobacco benefit from putting in a cellar? When you hear someone saying, I've got in the cellar, it doesn't mean what we call here in England the basement. Cellar means storage. It can be in the drawer, it can be in the cupboard, it can be on your desk, it can be on the wall, it can be anywhere. What it means is that you're keeping the tin closed, vacuumed, packed for years to come. That's what it means, put in the cellar. So now we're coming to that question is, what do I benefit from storing my tobacco vacuum packed? Does the tobacco leaf actually improve? And does any blend improve with putting in storage? Yeah. So there is a general rule that any non-aromatic straight Virginias, English blends, Balkan blends, Oriental, Burley, Latakia blends, vapors, Virginia and Perique, and as such, benefit enormously from long-term storage in the right condition, of course. The leaf ferments further and develops. Some blends, they become mellower, sweeter. Some blends deepen, richer flavors. And they change the chemistry nearly. They transform and ferment further. And in many cases, a Latakia blend, which you smoked straight out of the tin, and if you put it away, in a few years you come back to it, and it's completely different. It's sweeter, it's mellower, it is muskier. Yeah, so 100%. Tobacco leaf improves with long-term storage. When it comes to aromatics, well, the leaf itself improves, but the toppings don't as much. Now, there is topping and there is casing. Casing, even non-aromatics many times have got casing, simply for the binding process while you mix the blend. The casing is very mild. Normally it's a sugary casing. But when it comes to toppings, you've got rum, you've got chocolate, you've got vanilla, you've got cherry, you've got all sorts, alcohol, liqueurs, yeah, fruit. You've got all sorts of toppings. Those toppings, over years, they sort of lose a bit of their potency, but the leaf itself matures. So I heard from someone who is smoking, my older brother, who's smoking a pipe now for, I say, 30 years, and he loves aromatics. And yeah, he's got in his cellar quite old aromatics, and on occasion, special occasion, he opens a tin. And it tastes absolutely divine. So yeah, any blend will improve. Also, is another thing. Then we're coming now to the second question: is how soon should you store your tobacco in a jar that we're going to talk about in a minute as well? Well, that also depends what type of leaf the blend is. Is it flake, or is it even cut flake, or is it a plug? Or is it ribbon cut? The flake retains its flavor. Let's have a look. Let me show you some blends just so when you see something, it helps a lot. I'm not going to talk about the blends themselves, but this is a flake. Focus. Yeah, this retains its moisture much longer than a ribbon cut. Yeah. Also, coin. So it's like a flake, but in a different shape. Yeah, this also would keep its moisture for much, much longer. Yeah. Cut flake as well would keep its moisture for longer because there is more body of leaf to hold moisture in it. Yep. Now, when you talk about ribbon cut, yeah, for instance, like this one here, or shredded, this would keep its moisture for less time. So it all depends on this type of leaf your blend is, and accordingly you can give it a bit more leeway before you store it into jars that we're going to talk in a minute. So yeah, so that is really depends on the type of leaf that you're smoking. Of course, they also come like plugs, like a square. It looks like a cake, or cake tobacco. It's like a square, and also it retains anything that is sort of a body of leaf, holds its moisture for longer. So when it comes to storing tobacco, so you get your tobacco in various type of packaging. From the, the average, the 50 gram tins. This is the Jeremine's Special Atakia Flake. 50 gram is 1.76, I think, ounces, if I'm not mistaken. So you get them in these sort of tins, or you get them in 100 gram tin. Yeah, that is 3.5. I'm going to go through ounces or grams, whichever, depends where you live. But a 3.53, 3.5 ounces roughly is 100 gram. So these type of tins are vacuum packed. The golden rule is any tobacco leaf that is vacuum packed would last for centuries and improve, mature, and mellow, as I said, or deepen or richen. It all depends on the blend you're storing. The minute you open up the tin, that is quite tight. You'll notice there is a silicone band on the top, and you got grooves on the tin, and that sort of gives it a very tight, and when they put it in the tobacco into the tin, they vacuum pack it. So when you open the tin, you hear this whoosh of air, the vacuum is gone. The minute the vacuum is gone, you are sort of on borrowed time type of thing. The tobacco leaf will start to deteriorate until it comes to a stage where it's completely dry. When it's completely dry, you lose most of the flavors, the sugars, the spices, and it's a job and a half to re-moisten. There is a method of hydrating your tobacco, but I heard from many experts that it's not the same thing. As soon as the tobacco dries, it's sort of, you're trying to save it. It should burn better, it shouldn't brittle. But all those delicious spices and flavors you would lose. That's what I was told. I never came to a stage. I never allowed tobacco to dry. So if you let's say buy 5 of each, and you open 1 of each, and you smoke them within, let's say 2 to 3 months, is no problem. You can keep them in the tin, just shut it tight when you finish, took out whatever you want to smoke, and 2-3 months it will stay fresh in the tin as it is. Longer than that, you need to store it. Either you don't open the vacuum, or you store it in a mason jar we're going to talk about in a minute. Now there is another type of tin that comes. This is vacuum packed as well, but when you open the vacuum, it's not as tight as this one. And I heard as well, someone told me that, yeah, I don't think that is correct. Maybe you correct me in the comments. Even when it's vacuum packed, this is a better method because you got that twist and turn as well. But what I understood is that if this is properly vacuumed, is no problem. It's the same type of vacuum sealant that is on these type of tins, and you can keep them for a lifetime. Yeah, leave it for your children to enjoy if you want to. Anyway, but as soon as you open them, these are better sealed to use in that period of time. Now there is another tin you might have received. This is more the American type of blends. These are more the European. These more the American style tins. That it comes with sort of like a like a metal cover. So when it is completely closed, it is sealed, and that will last you as long as the tins. But as soon as you open it, it will be a lot less beneficial to your tobacco than these style tins, because this is only a flimsy plastic cover. Yeah, it's better than leaving it open on dish, but long term, this needs to be jarred. I would say even after a month, this should be jarred. I will jar these straight away, more or less, as soon as I opened up that sealant. It looks like a sardine tin. Yeah, I'm sure you know what it looks like. Now you might get it as well in this type, and this is from Boswell, the Sweet Dreams, that one that I'll review. I don't want to go through the blends because quite a few of them I didn't review yet. This comes very flimsily. It's not a vacuum. It's just a cover, but it comes like with a plastic that it was hot sealed on top of it, so it keeps the tobacco fresh to a certain extent. But I would as well, as soon as you opened up the plastic thing, I would put it in a jar. And even if you didn't open the plastic, I think you should quickly. I mean, not you don't have to rush because it's quite a good seal, but it's not vacuumed. So as we said, the rule before, anything that's not vacuumed, you're on borrowed time, because air and tobacco don't mix very well for a long period of time. Now you might get it in this type of packaging, very fancy. I've got these two. One day I'll review this one. This I think I reviewed already. I think it's going to be uploaded. I'm not sure. That's why I didn't want to show the tobaccos, because quite a few I haven't yet reviewed. This type of packaging is beautiful. I love. I mean, this is real art. That in England they don't allow this. No way. It's a shame. It's real art, but it comes in a flimsy cellophane bag, and you don't know how long of a shelf life it had before you bought it, so you better take it out and put it in a jar ASAP. This type of packaging. And lastly, you get, not lastly actually, one before, this type. Now this you get a lot of the counter type of thing, petrol stations, supermarkets, off license, or in America, all sorts of, this is a very nice blend, but it's sort of held in a type of sealant here. It doesn't hold very fresh for long. I advise very quickly to take these out and put them in a jar, or you just take this whole thing and put them in a jar. Without opening it, just put it in a jar. Yeah, that's what I do as well. Lastly, you can get them in bulk. If you buy in Boswell's and Country Squire, you buy in all sorts of tobacconists, you buy them in bulk, 8 ounces, 14 ounces, a pound, 2 pounds. Yeah, you get them in a bag. Those you need to take out. Even though it's in a Ziploc bag, it wouldn't stay fresh for long. You put them in a jar straight away. So, one more way of you might receive your tobacco. This is a blend I need to review still. This vacuumed sealant, so actually the air is pressed out and sealed at the top. And when you tear off the end, you still got a Ziploc, but still, if you leave it closed, it stays fresh for a very long time as the tins. But as soon as you open it, put in the jar. So now we come to the jar section. So what do you do to store your tobacco long term? Well, it's the easiest, cheapest way to do it. Mason jars. I will show you now on the screen a photo of all the mason jars. Not quite all, but the majority, the most commonly used, from 4 ounce all the way up to 64 ounce, and in various shapes, open, wide mouth and regular mouth. I'll show you in a minute. So those are the most beneficial way of storing your tobacco. In my book, short term if you already open the tin, and long term if you open the tin. So let's start with the smallest one that is not actually on this photo, the 2 ounce. Now the 2 ounce is this size. This is perfect for taking tobacco with you on journeys, for travel, samplers, all that type of thing. Perfect jar to fill it up. Say if you don't want to put it in a tobacco pouch, one of those leather pouch, because let's say you want to put in an aromatic and the next day you want to put in an English mixer, you need a pouch for each blend. These are much cheaper. Yes, it can break, but yeah, if you look after it, it'll be fine. And you can put in each blend in its own jar. Okay, so that is that. Then you've got what I use most. I'm showing you what I'm using most. A lot of people are going to use all sorts. The 4 ounce I use for instance, the Pure Virginia. I've got it actually in here. Yeah. So what I did is, this will hold beautifully 50 gram of flake, and as you can see, there's not much air in it. It's fairly full. That's the idea. And then the mason jars come with, this is very important to get them, the 2 bits, the 2-part cover. Most mason jars are that way. And as you can see, there is here a silicone ring on the edge, and that what that does, it rests on the lip. And then you've got the top cap, and that seals it off completely, airtight. And the tobacco will now, this is a perfect example of a pure Virginia, straight Virginia, that would become sweeter, fruitier, and much more, with even a bit of a spiciness over the years. And it might even develop sugar crystals on the actual leaf, and that is absolutely delicious. Yeah, so this I use for this type of tin. Now, if you've got a bigger tin of flake, for instance, I've got in here 100 gram of flake in here, and this is the Rustica by McBaron, but I will read that one day. Very strong tobacco. I got a nicket smoking this. Actually, the first time I got a nicket of smoking a pipe that I never did before. I spoke that a few times, and as you can see, it is fairly full. I didn't want to overcrowd it, not to ruin the flake shape, so I put them in a bigger jar. This will not fit, of course, in a smaller jar. It can fit in a 8 ounce jar, because this is the 16 ounce jar. This is the 16 ounce jar, and it must probably fit also in an 8 ounce, but I might add more, and I wanted to have a bit more space. I didn't want to ruin the flake. Now this, you can see, is open mouthed. That means it's a wider rim compared to a regular rim, which is this. You can see the difference. This is much wider, and this is the regular one. I find that the regular, and also when you look at the caps, you can see the major difference between them. I find the open, what they call wide mouth, is much more convenient to actually put in your tobacco in it. This is wider mouth, and you can put in your tobacco or whatever the funnel you have, just funnel in the tobacco. It's easier. But as long-term storage benefits, they both are the same. It's just different shape. So this is my most common used, the 16 ounce, 500 ml wide mouth mason jar. That is what I use most. Someone said I need a drink. Now sometimes you get them in the bulk, 8 ounce. For instance, I got this from, this is the Peter Stockerby PS24 Nougat, 8 ounce. So I put them in this jar, and this is a 32 ounce jar, 1 liter jar. And I managed to squeeze in here 8 ounce, just right up to the rim. And you see, don't forget as well that tobacco leaf, as soon as you take it out from the vacuum packed packaging, you got it, it breathes, it swells up a bit, yeah? It's got more air in between the leaves. This I received loose, so it was already quite a substantial size bag. So when I put it in a jar, I just pressed it down and gained quite a lot of space to add more and more until I managed to put it all in. This is the ideal way because there's no air at all in the jar, but it's very difficult to pinpoint the quantity of tobacco versus the jar. So always get a jar that is bigger than the actual quantity of tobacco you want, because liquid is, of course, takes less space than tobacco. Yeah, but I never used 64 ounce simply because these are, first of all, a lot cheaper and a lot more easier to get a hold of, and if need be, I'll use 2 of these versus 1 massive 64 ounce. So yeah, now talking about the 4 ounce, there is this style 4 ounce as well that is a bit more suited for ribbon cut or cut flake, or or for instance coins, this one here, or a plug. I mean, this style tobacco or plug that you can, I think it's going to be a bit too small for a plug, but you don't want to damage the plug. You have to judge it, but these I bought mainly for if I want to put some tobacco in my office or at home and not to carry with me the whole jar. So I can either put it in here or I put it in this one if I want to take a bit more for other people to join in. So yeah, just got this for, and this is as well the same style to, So that is really the way I store my tobacco. And these would last me for, well, as long as I want them to last. But if you're going to put them in the cellar or in your cupboard, wherever, if you put them in storage, let's put it, storage is a general term, these will last for, improve over time for years and years and years. I don't think there's a limit in how long you can store tobacco. The longer the better. So more or less I covered this subject of how do I store my tobacco, how should you store your tobacco, and I would love to hear, is there any other way of storing? Some people store it with they put the tins in vacuum packed packaging. So you got these hot steam press, now you cover the thing and then you sort of sucks out the air. I spoke to my older brother. He is a pipe smoker of over 30 years minimum, and he's an expert in his field. And he told me that these tins are completely vacuum packed. You do not need to do anything beyond. And you just put them in anywhere, and this will last you for years and years and years, no problem at all. Yeah, if you want to put this type of thing in that vacuum, yeah, that will help. But what I do, I simply fold this, well, not quite, because it's full of tobacco, and I don't have an empty jar, but I just put it in a 16 ml jar, 16 ounce jar, and that's it. And I can fit in quite a few in here. 2, at least 3 even. Or if I take a bigger jar, you can put in quite a few in them. That's another way of doing this. You don't have to undo these and put them in jars. Now, in regards of one thing I just want to mention quickly, in regards of labels, you can go online and you can get your own labels, print them out. If you got a printer, laser printer, you can print out these most gorgeous labels that you put on top of the lids. Yeah, I don't bother. I just take off from the tins and I put them on top here. I mean, this is already, as you can see, loose, and I will just put it on around my jar. And if not, I just cut out the description of if this was loose, or good old handwriting. That's what I do. The main thing is I know what blend it is and roughly the blend info, and yeah, how many grams and the year I put them in the jar. That's all. I don't need more than that. Even this one I managed to do a fairly nice label, and that's it. That's all I need. But if you want to keep it fancy, you can do something like this, yeah. But every blend has got its own label, and you can put them on in a jar, make a beautiful display in your display cabinet. Yeah. So I didn't want this video to be longer than 30 minutes, so I think I'm going to stop here. In any case, I think I covered the subject, so let's recap. Yeah, it's very important to store your tobacco. If you're not going to smoke it within fairly quickly from opening your vacuum, whichever packaging it came in, and if it's not vacuumed, straight away put it in a jar. I personally, if I open it, I straight away put it in a jar. And if I don't open it, I just leave it in the original packaging if it's vacuumed. Most of them are. Even these are vacuumed when you first get it, before you flip them open. So you can keep them safely for years and years and years, except for this type of packaging and the like. I've seen other types of packaging where it is simply a cover on top with a plastic covering. Those you should undo fairly quickly and put them in jars, and these put them in jars as they are. And yeah, so I think I covered the subject. So this was the video of today. I hope it was beneficial. If you would like to leave in the comments the way you store your tobacco and your views, your thoughts on the subject, that'll be beneficial to me, it'll be beneficial to others, and everyone can benefit from this useful feedback. So it's evening here, late evening. Well, it's 6:30 now, and I want to head home. So I wish you all have a good evening. I don't know when you're going to watch it. Have a good evening, good day, good weekend, or whatever it is. And I'll see you soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye for now.